Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. We are here today to have a look at Paladin Chronomancer versus some of the Ultra battles / slightly harder monsters in-game, where you specifically need certain class compositions to go along and defeat them. So, let us begin with Champion Drakath. We'll be using Arch Paladin, Lord of Order, Stone Crusher, and crucially, the Paladin Chrono class. This one is not going to be a battle guide. We're going in presuming you've already watched previous videos and you know what you're doing for these battles. So, Pali Chrono, you want to be the taunter for this. That is mainly because your 4th skill absolutely buffs your endurance massively. You'll see that in just a moment. You're going to get at least 11,000 health, and later on in the fight it goes up to like 15k. So that is really important that you are taunting. You want to be hitting skill 4 just before you use your taunt so you don't wipe. During these fights, the way I'm going about using the class is I'm getting a couple stacks of Temporal Rift off your skill 2 and then hitting 3 for a decent heal for the team. You've got to remember that skill 3 heal literally comes around all of the time. In our next Ultra battle we move on to after Drakath, it will be Nulgath, and you will literally see what I mean more there, because for that fight we are swapping out the Arch Pali for Paladin Chronomancer all together, so it is literally in charge of the heals alongside Lord of Order. But you really don't need to worry too much, as this class is just an absolutely ridiculous healer. You've also got to remember that when you're using your skill 4, the next time you use skill 3, you get an additional heal over time apply, and that is a really good get out of jail free card if you notice your team are starting to get a little bit low. So do think about how you're using skill 4, because that is absolutely crucial to the way you run Pali Chrono. I'm just going to be fast forwarding through the fight to certain points now, because we literally just get into that cycle of doing the exact same thing, or avoid the nuke and then just carry on with the DPS. No pots were being run throughout this battle, so that is an important thing to note. And also, if you'd like to see the entire fight without me cropping it down, do let me know in the comment section down below, because I'll upload that separately so you can just go ahead and watch how I went about doing this. We're just bringing it back to normal speed for a second, because this is the kind of point in the fight where you can actually start using skill 4 more. Previously, you're doing so much damage and getting Drakath's health down so low quickly, you're only really being able to use it every 1 mil HP. However, once you get to this point, you can use it like every half a mil, because you have a bit more time. During the battle, our health was just staying so high throughout, it was really ideal, and it did make the experience a lot less stressful. Although you do have to think to yourself, you're putting in the time and effort, are you actually going to get enough DPS within final stand to get Champion Drakath down? Luckily, spoiler alert, we do. However, folks, don't forget, if you are worried about your damage in final stand, you can always just put some honor potions on, and that will definitely give you more than enough to get you over the line. But we were okay. Like I say, we weren't too stressed about that in the end. Just while we now move down through the 3 million HP marker, I'll bring the video back down to normal speed. I will be doing a class review on this at some point, but I feel the Ultras are more important, to be honest with you. But the main thing I've been trying to figure out throughout the Ultra battles I've done so far is where we can go about replacing Arch Paladin with the Paladin Chronomancer, because that ideally is what we want to be doing, so we can get more of the DPS classes in to do extra damage. I think that will work in most cases. Obviously, don't take this to Ultra Dage, there's no point. 3 and 4 are both heal abilities. It all just comes down to the way you use the class. As long as you're timing it so you can get your heal over time in and making sure you're keeping up with skill 3, you should be absolutely fine using this in most examples. I haven't gone to Ultra Darkon yet. That is on the radar and the to-do list, so I'll let you know how that goes and hopefully bring you a video for it. But as you can see, we are into final stand and going through. We got through the first million absolutely rapidly, and I was getting a little bit nervous. Once you get into final stand, don't worry so much about the heals. Just make sure you're stacking up 4 temporal rifts and hitting skill 5, because that is the nuke and it will give you the damage over time. But let us move on to Ultra Nulgath. So this time, Legion Revenant, Lord of Order, and Dragon of Time. So it's kind of the normal comp and setup that you go for with this battle, and of course you're going to have your 2 people using Scrolls of Enrage. Dragon of Time is the person who is dealing with the sword. You need to make sure they're doing that so they can hit both enemies at the same time. It's just the easiest way to go about it nowadays. Ultra Nulgath wasn't too bad compared to Drakath. I did wipe at that point, but we got lucky with how the taunts fell that I was able just to join straight back in, and then we could continue with the battle. And then at this point, it is just literally a case of keeping up the damage and making sure you're healing your team, because as Paladin Chronomancer, that is your key role. As you can see, we've got lots of heal over time going on. That's not going to be suppressed in any way, shape or form. So as soon as your skill 4 is coming up, and presume you've got enough mana to go for it, make sure you're hitting that. It's also worth remembering that the less mana you have, the more effective skill 5 is. So make sure you get some temporal rifts when you've got low mana. Hit skill 5. Not only will that regain you mana, it will do the damage over time. Just to throw it in there as a disclaimer to everyone, I did Ultra Nulgath before Ultra Drakath, so I was still trying to get used to the class at this point. So the class combo I'm using is not as nailed held as it should be, but don't worry, as I said, when we do the review, we will cover all of that to make sure everyone knows how to go about using it. Luckily, as it's one of the more modern chronos, it really doesn't have any overly complicated mechanics linked into it. It's just got a couple skills that rely on others that trigger some extra passive abilities that are thrown in there. But as you can see, Nulgath is about to go down. Unfortunately, dear old King got into a bit of a death cycle here, so that was really unfortunate for him, but we did just manage to carry on with the battle and get him down, and of course get our insignia in the end. But King sadly did miss out, so we can rip to King in the comment section. So folks, what I'm going to do now is just move off of the Ultra battles and onto a couple of the harder mobs that you may be doing in games. So let's start with Flib, Legion Revenant, Continuing Chronomancer, Arch Paladin and Lord of Order. That's what we were doing at this point. That's just kind of how the room fell, and just to show you how quickly you'll get through Flib. I think most people find Flib is absolutely fine nowadays. Presuming you just have enough people, you can generally overpower it, so that's no problems whatsoever. However, Nightbane still does cause people a few headaches, so we will quickly flick over there just to show you what we went for here. As we said, we weren't really replacing Arch Paladin at this point, but we do still have Lord of Order, Stonecrusher, Legion Revenant, and with 5 people, that was more than enough to quickly get through him. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Please do leave the video a like and of course subscribe. We will have a look at some of the other Ultra battles in game, but they just take a little while to go through and actually record, but I will be covering them, so keep your eyes peeled, and hopefully we get a run on Darkon so we can see how that one goes, because that really is the Ultra of Ultras. Anyway folks, until next time, have a lovely day, and I'll see you all again incredibly soon.